Podcasting from Rome, Georgia, a beautiful little spot in the northwest corner of the state near the Appalachian Mountains. You're listening to Suburban Outdoorsman with Sean and Kevin. Join us as we chronicle our journey, attempting to go from a couple of average suburban dads to competent, skilled outdoorsmen.
Welcome to the show. I'm Sean.
And I'm Kevin. And today we are back to talk about outdoor cooking.
Yep.
So what kind of outdoor cooking?
You mean like with what kind of food?
Or no, so I guess we're going to look at what? Both pre-made and...
I guess prepared outdoor cooking and, oh no, I'm lost in the woods and I need to cook this fish I just caught.
Yeah. So we'll be looking at what kind of items we would have if we're going to go out on a camping trip, planning ahead for cooking.
Right.
And then we get lost out in the national forest and need to put something together quick. So
why is it a national forest?
I don't know. Maybe it's a state forest. Do we have any state forest here?
Along with the state lakes.
Fun fact about lakes.
We're going to leave the fun facts out of this.
All right.
So yeah, we're talking about outdoor cooking. So we have it broken down into two sections as far as if you're prepared, if you're going camping, if you're going hiking, you know you're going to have to do some cooking.
Yeah.
So what you can bring, what you should bring, whatever for that. And then if you are unprepared, how can you cook without,
without having those prepared
without
things.
a prepared item?
All right, cool. So let's talk about prepared first.
Right.
So I don't have a lot to talk about on the unprepared side. Well, I mean, I'm sure I'll have something to talk about, but I know that's an area you've done more research on.
A little bit.
For me, prepared-wise, I guess I don't have a full go bag or bug out bag, but I've kind of started putting one together.
Mm-hmm.
So in mine, I've got a couple items on the prepared side. I didn't bring them on our last camping trip, but I may on our next one.
I thought you had them in your a hiking bag kind of thing.
I did, bag. Yeah. I was kind of trying to do I was kind of turning that into like a backpacky go bag.
That's a word.
Yeah, go bag is definitely a word.
Yeah. So is backpacky.
Yeah. It's millennials, man. They've made all these words things now. It's a totes lit thing, man. So it's a little metal. I don't know. It's maybe the size of half a brick.
But it's thin.
But yeah, it's thin. It's metal, and it's designed.
It's the size of a. It's like the size of a phone.
Well, it depends on what kind of phone. Like
an
Note
iPhone
10, or an iPhone 10
yeah.
Max, or what's it called? Is it a 10?
Yeah,
or it's an X.
X Max.
X Max. So yeah, it's maybe a little bit smaller than that, but it's a lot thicker though.
Yeah.
And I guess technically you could use some wood in there maybe, but it's designed to be used with those little fuel cubes. So the kit I bought came with they're in the little foil packs, kind of like your like NyQuil is. You've got the little foil packs you open. That's what the cubes are in, and it's designed that you can just put that cube in there, light it, then you can fold the sides over, and you've got a cooking surface.
The stove,
yeah,
it opens up on its side so that you can set a pot on top.
Yeah,
of
so
it.
You could open that up to put the fuel cube in, and then you can either fold it over to have a flat cooking surface, or you leave it open some, and like you said, yeah, you can put a pot or something on there. So that's really as far as the actual cooking source. I also have some containers that came with it. Or not with it, but I've got packed with it. So they're little metal containers. I've got a small one, a medium sized, and a big one for boiling water or cooking food.
Okay.
And actually, I take it back. There's one other cooking thing I have. This was a cool one. It's the same concept as that little stove, but it's kind of like a thermos, and you can cook underneath it. And it's designed. You can boil water in it. The fuel goes underneath the thermos.
Yeah.
It's designed for it just to sit right on there. You can boil water in it. You can heat stew. Like they talk about, you could use it to make a little fish stew or something if you're out in the woods.
Fish stew sounds delicious.
Dude, it is. Trust me. Or what you do is you boil the fish in some water with some other random vegetables, and then you shake it up and you just drink it out of the thermos, and you don't eat any of the. Very nutritionist. Nutritious.
And I also saw a pretty cool one. It's a stove, and it screws on top of a propane tank. So again, this is if you're prepared and you have a propane tank.
And you're talking the little green Coleman.
Yeah, the little I forget how they say that, how they identify it. But yeah, it's a little green Coleman tank, and this is a small one. It's about the size of like if you bundled up 2 lighters together, and it just screws on top and it unfolds a little bit. And you can set a pot on top of it.
Yeah,
but it's a neat little thing, and it takes up very little space. However, you have to have the Coleman gas. Which
you got to have the way to do it.
Considerable amount of space. So these are differences between like if you're hiking and you have to carry this stuff on your person, and then if you're camping, then you're likely to bring one of those gas containers. But what you're talking about as far as that little slim one that unfolds, that's better for if you're hiking because it doesn't weigh anything. It takes very little space.
Yeah,
and it only takes those little fuel cubes, or you can even use it for wood burning.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and like you said, that's small enough. And what's cool is you can fit one of the fuel cubes inside of it when it's folded up.
Yeah,
so you can carry the extra fuel with you, but you've at least always got one in there. Yeah. I mean, and it's small enough. I could probably throw it in my everyday carry bag. And wouldn't take up much extra room.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
So that's, I mean, so talking about cooking, that's going to cover us as far as the
being prepared,
the actual being prepared,
and then what you're cooking in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So what about? So that's how we would cook it, or what we would use for the heat source, I guess.
So if you're camping, again, I like to use cast iron. It's heavy, so of course you're not going to hike with it.
Yeah.
But if you're camping and you're just carrying bins of your prepared items,
you
can throw a couple cast iron pans in there, and those are great for. You can cook with that on the little stove like we're talking about, or if you're cooking,
you can use those on an open flame.
Yeah, on the fire side.
Yeah.
The cast iron is good for that, but if you're hiking, then they have those little lightweight items.
Yeah, well, that's what the containers that I have are some of the collapsible ones that are.
And those are ideal for that. There's no shortage of information and options for hiking and camping and cooking.
But I think it's good to be, because again, when we went on the last camping trip we went on, I don't think neither one of us had any of those items with us.
Right, I had a cast iron.
And that was because we had that's true. We had the items to cook with.
Yeah.
And again, when you're looking at cooking things, maybe what about the utensils that you're going to be using while you're cooking?
Yeah, and I didn't forget utensils.
Because I didn't bring any of those either with me.
And I've got them. I've got stuff specifically for that. I just have.
I've completely
I was running out the door, so I didn't.
So fortunately, Jesse and Melissa remembered to bring their stuff, because otherwise
we would have been running an hour back to the house.
Yeah, that, or we had to use knives for everything.
Sticks.
But we didn't bring it camping. But again, I didn't even think about it because I knew they had the grill set up there.
Yeah.
But it still would have been cool to have that stuff with me to be prepared just in case, to have that backup option there.
Yeah. So the other
what if you're not prepared? Let's say, for example, you're driving through a national forest and your car goes on some spiral mudslide. Some mudslide happens and knocks you down a hill, crashing through the woods, way out in the middle of nowhere, because your car kind of floats on this mudslide float thing that goes through. Day. And you end up miles and miles away from the road, no idea where you are, and you're stuck out in the woods now. And
your cell phone flew out the window.
Yeah, well, you're also so far out in the middle of the national forest that you're not going to get any signal there anyway.
Right.
So it's not going to do any good. But fortunately, you had your everyday carry bag in the car,
which maybe had a little knife in it. Something you could use.
Something you can use for some basic stuff. But what happens now when you have to cook your food?
Right. So that brings us to kind of what I'm interested in. The fun part of this is creating a cooking surface
from nothing. It's like magic.
So the options are: you can start a fire just on the ground, a regular start a fire.
That's kind of boring.
You put a rock next to it and you cook on the rock. I've actually done that before.
So
if you cook on the rock, if you get a slab of a rock, you put it next to the fire. It gets hot. It only takes about 2 hours for it to get hot enough to cook on.
And then you got to keep a fire going for 2 hours.
You got to keep a fire going for 2 hours.
Now I wonder if you could probably speed it up a little bit if you actually put the rock in the fire, right?
Well, you have to have it elevated, otherwise it'll smother it.
No.
So the way I've done it before is I have the fire going and I put the rock up. It was elevated a bit, so there's still some heat underneath it, and it kind of hovers half over the fire.
Yeah.
But then you're using a lot of wood to keep this fire going for a long enough time. So my thing about this is this Dakota Fire hole.
Yeah.
which I haven't done, but I've heard about it for years, and I've always wanted to do it.
I've never heard of a Dakota Fire.
So it's real neat. So I don't know how well I can describe it, but what you do is you dig a hole. So let's say it's about 8 inches in diameter.
Okay.
So you dig a hole, you go underground a little bit. I'm demonstrating with my hands as if this is going to translate on the podcast.
Yeah. But at least it's helping me out.
Yeah, thank you. So you dig a hole. You're making a U underground, let's say. So you're going under the ground a few inches, maybe 10 inches or so, and then back up, a little bit further down. So you're making a U.
So you're
going in the hole.
You're tunneling down into the ground.
You're tunneling down. You're making a tiny foxhole.
Yeah.
So you're going down to the ground a little bit and then popping back.
But it's
up
going to be
again.
so it'll be in the shape of a U theoretically. So you can just envision you've just dug a little U tunnel.
Yeah.
Now, how far apart are you going to space the holes? So your entry hole and your exit hole.
Generally, from what I've seen, again, I haven't done this yet. This is why we're going to make a YouTube video about it. But from what I've seen, you dig down. You can travel it if all you have is your hands and a knife, let's say, in your EDC bag to kind of break the ground up. Then as far as your hand can go under the ground.
Yeah. So then you're probably looking at what a
couple feet.
Span of I was gonna say maybe 2 feet.
Yeah, I wouldn't say any more than that. And then so you have an entry hole and an exit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And on the exit hole, you can take some of the dirt that you dug out and build a mound around it.
Okay.
So you still leave the hole open, but now you have a mound going around it, like a volcano.
So are you doing the entry hole and the exit hole the same size?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so you've got let's say an entry hole that's just ground level, and then on the exit hole you've got a volcano-looking thing going.
Surrounding it.
Yeah, and you can put a couple sticks or something on there that span across the hole, and then you can put a pot on it. Okay. And then inside the hole, you can put some tinder.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a lot of large sticks, but you put some tinder down in there, and then so that's almost underneath that pot, let's say. So you have to stick your hand down in there. You want to get that fire lit. If you have your EDC bag and you've got a fire starting system one way or another.
Yeah.
So a lighter, matches, whatever you happen to have, a Ferris rod, you light that wood.
Yep.
So it's burning. And then you can feed it. So as it burns and it's going to burn down, you feed it through the entry hole.
Okay, so you've got the pot over the exit hole.
Yeah.
You've got the fuel, the wood is going to be down, not quite in between.
You can do
not really going to be in the middle. It's going to be closer to the wood you're burning or whatever fuel you're burning is closer to the exit hole than the entry hole.
And then you feed that fire through the entry hole. So you can put additional twigs and stuff through it.
Yeah.
So as it's burning, you just kind of feed into it.
So I'm guessing the theory behind this is the fact that you've got that flow of air.
Right. So what's happening is the air that's pulling through is drawing through the entry hole.
Okay.
So your draw, when you're creating a fire, it needs a lot of oxygen.
Yeah.
And when you have a campfire, it's just on the ground, so it's pulling oxygen from everywhere. But you lose a lot of energy. You create a lot of smoke because you're not burning the fuel as efficiently as possible.
So we talked about this, I think, in the Firecraft video.
Yeah.
That there's 3 primary components needed for a fire.
Right, and I tried to make an acronym out of that, and it evidently didn't work.
Yeah, I don't even remember what you attempted, but what are the 3 primary?
You need heat, oxygen, and fuel.
Fuel, yes.
So you have the fuel. You're creating the heat with
Hoff.
David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff. So, but what's happening is you're creating a draw through that tunnel.
Yeah.
So it's sucking air in.
Okay.
It's not just ambient.
It's not just
it's
pulling
not,
it. It's not just all falling on it from around on the ground.
And it's active. It's not passive.
Yeah.
Let's say it that way. So you're actively drawing air through that hole. So what's happening is because it's sucking that air in through that entry.
Yeah.
It's burning that fuel a lot more efficiently. It's burning it hotter, and as a result, you're creating very minimal smoke or no smoke. So
interesting.
It burns a nice hot flame. It gives you because you have that little volcano section where the exit is, and you got the pot on it. The heat is concentrated right there, so it's easier to get a hotter flame on a small concentrated area. So if you're trying to boil a pot of water, instead of putting it on a rock, next to the fire, you've got a hot flame underneath it, and it's drawing that air and it's pushing the heat out right.
It's pushing the heat 100%
right up
to
of the
it.
heat is coming right
straight
up
to it.
Yeah, you're not losing any heat anywhere.
Yeah. So we're gonna do this the similar as we did with the Firecraft episode, the Firecraft series we did, where we're gonna follow this podcast up with the YouTube where we're gonna test these out, right? Because I think we got another one to try too besides this.
Yeah, rocket
so
stove.
we'll
talk about that
test these out, and then we'll do a follow up to kind of see how it all worked out. So
I mentioned about this. I've seen a lot of stuff about it. I've heard about it.
Yeah,
it looks real neat. And the good thing about this system, as far as the Dakota Fire hole, is it's scalable.
Yeah.
So you can make a small one. You can make
a big one.
You can make one that's.
So if you had let's say you were in a situation where you had your go bag with you, and you had a like one of those collapsible shovels.
I've got a collapsible shovel.
You could build. You could make one that was, instead of a 8-inch hole, you could make one that's a 16-inch.
Yeah, you could
and turn that into a. Now here's one thing I'm wondering about, and so maybe I wonder if we could test this with the YouTube video. We'd have to find a spot where we can dig multiple of these. I wonder if having a larger entry hole, like let's say we had a 8-inch exit hole.
Yeah.
And then we had the 8-inch entry hole. It's uniform, same thing. I wonder if we had one where it was an 8-inch entry hole, but you had a 12 to 14-inch or 8-inch exit hole.
You're drawing more air,
so that there's a bigger opening to draw. Is that going to make any difference, or is that going to be too much? Maybe you got too much of a flow coming in.
Or if it's unnecessary.
Yeah. Like, does it make any difference to do that? Maybe that'd be something cool to try with the video. We need to get like one of those
the laser.
Yeah, like one of the laser things. Or I wonder if we could just use a basic heat thermometer or meat thermometer. Stick it in the over the
those only go up to what, 200-300 degrees.
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, a hot fire, you're going to be at 1200 degrees.
So I guess we need to find one of those.
Even the laser ones, I think they only go up to 300. Yeah,
but you could still maybe does it get hotter faster? Again, we could also judge it too. There's a couple ways we could judge this. We could judge it by feel. Putting our hands over it. Does it feel like it's hotter?
Timing a pot of boiling water.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Let's we build it. We get the fire going. Let's say we build two different ones. We use the same amount of fuel. Mm-hmm. Start the fires at the same time, same amount of fuel. Put the pot on there and time how long it takes to boil.
Yeah.
And see whether it's boiling any faster with one. Because again, I really don't know whether that would make any difference or not.
I don't know.
Because again, at some point you're going to have more oxygen than you need.
Yeah,
but does it make a difference to have
the right amount of oxygen will burn the most effective?
Yeah.
Over.
So I think that'd be a cool experiment. Other than just digging one and trying it and see how it works, try a couple different options.
Yeah, and I've got a picture on Facebook about it.
Yeah,
and I chose that picture because it demonstrates well what's happening. Yeah, you can see the fire coming out the exit hole, and you can see the entry hole. Yeah, and the good thing about these is it doesn't take a lot of fuel.
Yeah, so it's not like you're spending hours trying to gather.
Yeah, you're not gathering giant sticks to have a fire that burns for 4 hours so you can boil some water.
Now the other question would be with that is it going to get? Are you going to get enough heat coming up from that so that besides is this pretty much just good for cooking, or would it be good enough that you could sit near it and get warmth?
You don't get a lot of ambient heat.
Okay.
So I guess what you could do is, if you had stones, I've seen this before. You get stones and you pile it around it, and the stones get hot.
Yeah.
And then the stones retain heat for a while. So even after the fire burns out, you can be near the stones.
Yeah.
I've seen people take stones and they'll put it, they're not obviously 1,000 degrees, but they're a couple hundred degrees, and you can put them
up, and
you can put them like where you're sleeping at.
Yeah.
You can put them in your sleeping bag. And it's just something to
keep
it up, and then when you get in the bag, you take the stones out, get rid of them.
Now, another thing is with the picture that you shared on Facebook, it looked almost like, in that particular picture, the concept was more of an L than a U, where it looked like they'd kind of dug the side out a little bit.
Yeah,
and it looked like it was coming in straight from the bottom, and
so
then
it depends on the terrain. So if you're building a little bit on an incline, you can do the same thing. As long as you have, it's just the concept of where you're having
the air's
tube.
coming in from a
you're drawing it in through one area, and it's the only place for it to go is up where the exit
projecting
is.
the heat to.
So you get 100% heat transferred to where you're going.
I'm really curious to try this out now.
Yeah. So how that transfers to the other thing I want to do is a rocket stove, which is the same idea, only it's a pre-constructed thing.
So rocket stove then would have to go more into the prepared side of things.
Right, and this is not something you really don't put these in a bag.
Yeah.
This is more something that you do at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you could, but most of these rocket stoves that I've seen is they're constructed out of steel, so you're not going to carry it with you. Camping, it might be a good thing you can do.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept as where you have a small diameter tube. I mean, everything I've seen is this 4-inch. So with rocket stoves, you're building it out of like 4-inch steel channel.
Yeah.
So it's a tubular thing, but it's tubular.
Far out.
Are we back in the 90s?
Wasn't
80s?
It 80s?
That's 80s.
Yeah.
I need to watch some more Stranger Things.
Some Bill and Ted's. They're coming out with a sequel to that.
The sequel.
Well, they already did a sequel, so it's like this is the third one or fourth one. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be Keanu and what's his name?
Yeah, I'm actually
kind
of interested in that.
It'll be tubular.
I don't know how they're going to work that out if they're going to use modern terms.
Yeah, are they going to be? Is it modern day? Like, are they going to be in 2019 or 2020, whatever year this comes out?
Saying lit.
Yeah.
But Keanu's what, 50?
Keanu's be like, that's totes lit, bro.
That's twice this episode you said totes lit.
I'm trying to make that a regular part of my vocabulary.
Oh, good. I'm glad to be.
I want to
part of that
in with the hip listening crowd that we're going to have.
Yep.
So
anyhow, rocket stoves,
a tubular
stove. So a rocket stove is constructed the same way as where you have an entry, and then they have a few different options, but it looks like it's either an L shape or a J shape. It's all the same concept as where you're
feeding it in from one side.
You're feeding it in from one side, but with a rocket stove, it's really neat because you're using very small tinder.
Yeah.
Using things that are like pinky size.
Yeah.
So you don't light, unlike a Dakota stove, which where you light a pile of sticks under the ground.
Mm-hmm.
This one you light it right, like, so if it's an L, you light it. You're lighting it right where the L changes at 90 degrees.
Okay.
Right where it bends.
So I see what you're saying. So I looked up some pictures.
Yeah. So you're lighting those sticks. You're putting them down in the hole, and it takes very little fuel because again you're burning more efficiently.
Feeding it from that. So yeah, I see what you're saying. You either got an L shape where it's like the flat part's laying on the ground and you're feeding it from the bottom there, or it's like a J shaped where you've kind of got the angle where you're feeding it down.
Or an LV shape.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, if you're just picturing an L and a V, this one has 3.
Yeah, so it's like an L with an extra line from where the 90
so
degree
you're
is
feeding wood
up
into one and it's drawing air from another. But it's still 100% of the heat is going out to that one spot. So you don't lose any heat.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a good thing is, since all the heat is going through that one exit.
Yeah.
You've got a hotter flame.
So I wonder,
cooking, it's faster.
I wonder if there's a way. I have to think about this some, because I wonder if there's a way that you could construct something like that
in nature. Just underground, unless you're prepared to. No, because even if you were digging through a tree or something, you're going to burn the tree.
Yeah, but if you think about it,
now I'll put it this way. Well, let me it's not digression. Let me steer this another direction because I said how the Dakota stove or the Dakota fire hole is scalable.
Yeah.
The rocket stove is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is they take the same concept and they create a rocket mass heater.
Okay.
So I won't describe it too much. It's easier just to look it up. But they use these rocket mass heaters. It's the same concept, only a little bit bigger. But they use it to heat a room.
Is it still burning?
It's still burning. So what you do is, let's say where you feed into one side, but where it exits. So I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah.
I see it often as a bench.
Okay.
So they'll take like an earthen bench. So it's like clay. So let's say you have this clay bench that goes through the length of a room.
Yeah.
You can sit on it, but through the middle of that is the tube where the heat's going.
Yeah.
So you feed on one end of the bench, you put the fuel in, it's ignited, it's drawing through that same hole, but where the exit is on the other end of the bench, at the other end of the room.
Yeah.
So the flame and the heat is going all through that entire bench. And because you're using clay, it transfers the heat.
And
so it slowly releases it through the room.
Yeah. So
it's better to look it up.
Look some pictures of that up.
Yeah, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to try to describe it too much, but
most of the examples that I saw in the pictures were demonstrating it as a bench.
Yeah.
Something you could sit on. But
because you're using, the clay, that heat transfer is.
Yeah, it's not going to be as quick of a. There's a term for that. What is that?
Thermodynamics.
No, but there's a. What's the term? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. There's a term for there's another term besides transference of heat.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's another term for that of how it's how that process works. But I get what you're saying. With the clay, it's not going to be as quick. Like for example,
you're not sitting on an iron pipe. You're sitting on something that's slowly releasing it, but it's holding a lot of that heat energy.
Yeah. So if it's and if it was like you're talking like a metal.
Yeah,
that's something that transfers that heat, dissipates it very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. This is slow going.
Conduction.
Conduction. There you
go. That's what I'm looking for.
So even after the thermal conduction, so even after the fire goes out, your clay is still holding a lot of that heat. So the thermal conduction continues after the fire goes out. But the good thing about it, like I said, you're not using logs.
Yeah,
you're using twigs.
Well, if you were using for the big room burning one,
even still,
the room one,
yeah, you're feeding it twigs. You don't have to use giant logs.
Wouldn't you have to use a little bit more fuel for something that big?
You don't have to. As long as you have a steady supply of the smaller stuff, it still burns more efficiently.
Yeah. Interesting.
So if you can keep it going, I mean, you could put the logs in there.
Yeah, but you're also asking me to trust you on something kind of related to math.
Right. However, this is something I've always been interested in.
So
if there's a little bit of passion in my voice, it's because I think it's a real cool concept.
So you're going to work on making a rocket stove, right?
Right. A friend of ours, he's a welder, by trade, and he said he'd be happy to build these for us. So I need to find the supplies. So how I'm making the rocket stove is I'm trying to find some. I don't want to buy it because we all know I'm cheap.
Yeah,
I've said that. I'm trying to find some salvaged. It's just channeled steel. It's 4-inch.
Didn't you guys have a blacksmith?
Steel.
Don't you guys have like a little blacksmith thing here on the property?
We have a forge back here, yeah. You want me to...
Did you look and see if there was any...
No, my wife's great-grandfather, that was his forge, and it was pretty much just for repairing tools around the property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't do anything like that.
I gotcha. So, I mean, even the concept of these rocket stoves are pretty simple.
They're very simple. It's just... You're drawing in directly over the fuel source.
So are you going to do yours as a J or an L?
I think I'm going to do it as an LV.
I was going to say, that's how I would like one as an LV.
Yeah.
So when you make one for me...
Well, I might make one. How about I make an LV and a J, and then we can figure out which one works better. So we'll try to shoot some video of that, too, so that we can show the construction of that.
I mean, dude, it's really like
they're super simple.
The materials you need is really not that difficult.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind buying them, but if you buy a rocket stove, they're $150, $300 between there.
Yeah.
And all it is just some steel welded together, but
what you need to do too. So are you going to build the little feet on the bottom of it?
Yeah, it'll have the feet on the bottom, and it'll have 4 little, reverse feet on the top to put a pot.
Yeah. Well, no, so because I saw some of the pictures I was looking at. It was like a little X that was like a thin piece of metal.
Yeah.
That was used, but it was put in the shape of an X so that you could put a pot or a pan or a pot or something to boil water or cook food on.
Yeah.
But it looked like with some of the ones with the feet, it's one, so obviously I'm assuming it's elevated off the ground so you're not burning the ground or transferring your heat to the ground.
Yeah, not losing too much.
Because that is one thing, heat will always go from the higher temperature to the lower temperature.
Hot to cold, yeah.
So obviously, if you don't want the ground to suck up, that heat. But then also people would also have it mounted on stuff sometimes. It looked like if they wanted to have
I've seen a few little attachments to it, just depending how people prefer it.
So I mean, either one, the LV or the J, either one of those are kind of cool looking, and again, they don't look like they're all that difficult.
No, and if you know how to weld, it'll be simple to do, but I just don't know how to weld. So I'm hoping after this, because this guy is going to show me how to do it.
Do you have a welder?
I don't. I actually had someone that was going to give me a TIG welder, just for whatever. He was going to give it to me, and I don't think he's going to give it to me anymore.
Why didn't you take it from him when he was going to first give it to you?
Yeah, I know, because
you've got this whole little weird thing of, well, if I don't feel like I need it right this second, it's better to not have it.
Right. Yeah. I should have jumped on that one.
Yeah,
but I didn't. But hopefully, this guy, he said he will be happy to build it for me for free, as long as I help him build one for himself. Yeah. So I have to get this. I have to get the materials, and then he'll show me how to build it.
Did you discuss that you're going to go ahead and get the materials for $3 and help him build all 3 of them?
Right. Well, when I said that, you were supposed to help me, and then you got to go to Raleigh again.
Yeah. Although this is going to be weird because technically I'm going to be in Raleigh when we post this, so it's going to be like we magically recorded this podcast together from 2 separate states.
Weird.
But you're gonna. But since I'm not going to be here, and I know you want to kind of do this video as soon as I get back.
Yeah. Well, shoot, because you're not here to record the video, I'm going to have to rely on someone else to do it.
Yeah. Get
his wife?
Or his daughter. She's a kid. Kids are way more into this stuff than adults are. Well, other than adults like me. Or I guess just wait till I get back, and then... That's true. I don't know if I trust somebody else to be...
Yeah, to get the right kind of video.
To do our videography.
Because this is kind of a good one. I want to do this one.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance I'll burn myself or go blind.
I would definitely not want to miss having that on video.
Not that I'd be able to see it because I'd be blind.
But everybody else would.
Yeah.
And then I could tell you.
Here's the moment Sean went blind.
Look how quick our views are going up. Oh, never mind. Too soon. So that'll be cool. Yeah. So I guess wait to do that till I come back, because I'd be interested to see.
Yeah.
Now, how does it work on camera when you're recording welding?
It doesn't blind you. It's just a bright light.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen videos of welding before. They've been in OSHA videos.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. All right, cool.
And if OSHA shoots a video of it, you know it's safe.
Yeah. So we're going to build the rocket stoves. Now, let's go back to the Dutch oven. Or the, what's it called?
Dakota Fire Hole.
Dakota Fire Hole. Okay. Dutch oven is also a useful way to generate heat.
Yeah.
And a lot of animosity.
Right, yeah. Real quick.
So the Dakota Fire Hole.
Yes.
That sounds like...
There's probably a better term for it.
I would say Dakota Fire Hole is almost... it makes me think of like too many bean burritos, you know? When we build that one, when we do the video, I'd be curious to try maybe some different methods of cooking on it.
Well,
like how
if we're using primitive means.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you have flat rock available, that'd be great, but not often do you find flat rock.
Well, I'm wondering, could you put some rocks around and build a grate out of wood without it burning the wood up before you cook it?
If it was far enough from a flame, but you're still talking about a lot of heat. And,
yeah.
If you could get the cooking to complete before the wood combusts, it might char, but if you can get it to cook before the wood goes up.
So what if you got, I would assume you'd want to use hardwood, not softwood.
Yeah.
So, more something like an oak instead of a pine.
Right.
But let's say you had some thicker branches that you laid across the opening. So let's say you got to have at least 2 that you lay across the opening, and then you put a rock on top of that you could put your meat on. That's because if you're doing it in an emergency primitive situation, you're not going to have pots and pans with you.
Or even if you have if you're cooking some slabs of meat, just put it on a stick.
Well, that's one of the things too.
And use it more like a rotisserie.
Like a rotisserie. You could build a little spit. And that's relatively easy to do. You just cross 2 sticks. on either end with one going in between it, and at least you've got...
or if you're patient enough and you've got a small piece, you could just rotate it on a stick in your hand.
Yeah, but that gets... it depends on how much meat.
And how much... I mean, do you like your meat well done or medium rare, you know?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be, how do you like the meat and how big of a piece of meat do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, like a fish, that would probably work with.
Yeah.
But like if you had a rabbit, for example, that might need a little bit more of an even cooking.
Yeah, so you could probably still do a rotisserie if you could on a small animal like a rabbit.
Yeah. That'd be cool. We need to go find a rabbit.
I haven't seen rabbits right now, but we need to wait for that.
There was one. My dog is incredibly unobservant because I took it out to go to the bathroom. I think it was last night. We walk out. The light, I got one of those really bright LED lights for the backyard.
Yeah.
So as soon as we walk out, it flashes on. And there is a large rabbit sitting out in the backyard towards the fence. And the rabbit I know saw us because one giant light flashed on. But instead of just taking off running like it normally would, I'm assuming it's because it saw the dog. Because like if I've gone out in the backyard by myself, the rabbit will just take off.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming since he saw the dog with me, it was almost like he was sneaking towards the back corner of the fence where they come in at. Because he would go just a little bit and he'd stop, go a little bit, stop. And I'm like trying to get the dog to go. I wanted to see how he'd react to seeing the rabbit. And I'm like, Campbell, go look. Trying to get him his attention to point there. And he's just looking at me and then he goes and grabs his ball and brings it back to me. I'm like, no, I wasn't trying to get you to play. I wanted you to go catch me a rabbit.
No, my dog, on the other hand, would have. So, there are rabbits. I just haven't seen any around here, which is strange.
So, I guess we're not going to actually be able to cook anything live. We should get some meat. We need to get some meat. Maybe it's store-bought meat.
We can do that.
But we should buy some
bratwurst.
Meat. Let's try a bratwurst and a steak.
There you go.
So, we got something more relative to something small. And more something like a squirrel versus a rabbit. The brat's kind of like the squirrel. And a piece of steak would be like a rabbit. And we can cook them on the fire.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And test the usefulness of it.
I like to do that. I'm interested in this, and I really want this to work out.
Yeah. This will be one, I think. So this would be one we need to plan. We need to plan doing the video when it's going to be a nice day. Not cloudy, not rainy.
Not 95 degrees.
Yeah. A nice day that we can go and actually take the time to do a good job on this.
Yeah.
We need to pick an area ahead of time that we can have the area to build a couple different versions of this. And then the other part, like maybe to go along with our whole theme of learning and practicing these things, I would say we attempt to do these with just our knives.
Yeah.
And the collapsible shovel you've got for your go bag.
Yeah, I'll say that's a good one to have because we do live in Georgia, and in the North Georgia mountains, there's
a lot of clay.
The clay happens to be really thick, and it's also littered with rocks.
Yeah. So use your shovel. I want to try one using just the knife.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see, okay, and maybe this is one of the ones that that ends up working out to be more like what you posted on Facebook, where maybe it's not really the U shape down into the ground.
Well, and I've got some inclined areas that you could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I would think theoretically you could probably, even without an incline, let's say all you had was your knife, or even with your camp shovel, because if you've got the camp shovel, if you're hitting a lot of rock and clay, it's going to be harder to dig that U shape down and cause the curve.
Yeah.
So you really could just dig out a squared area, like maybe dig out a larger squared area.
I see what you're saying.
Down a little bit, and then you dig in a few inches from there, and then down from the ground to where it meets kind of that same L shape like a rocket stove would be.
See how it goes. It might not be that bad.
No, but that'd be cool. I mean, again, we'll give it a try and see.
And I did see one where a guy took a, if you know anything about HVAC, they have the hard duct lines, and they have, this guy took one that was like a 6-inch duct line, and it was a U joint.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very big. I mean, the whole U joint was, it was probably a 12-inch long thing, but he dug a hole, put that in the ground, and then put the dirt over
buried it back over it.
Buried it back over it just so there's entrance
and then I'd guess that the metal from that would actually probably help with the conduction of heat as well.
Yeah. And that was just something that he did. And it was,
But again, that's going to fit more in your building something at home to have or your
Or if you happen to be in the woods and some HVAC truck rolled over. And
maybe you're an HVAC repairman who's cutting through a national forest to get to a job.
And the only thing that survived the rollover and the mudslide was a U-joint.
Yeah. You never know, man. You got to be prepared for all these scenarios.
Yeah. Some HVAC guy is going to be listening to this sliding down the hill being like, oh, man, I'm glad I listened.
He's going to end up, he's going to hit a mudslide, and he's going to be like, I am so glad Suburban Outdoorsman covered this.
Sean and Kevin's got my back.
Now I know how to build a Dakota fire hole with my HVAC ductwork. Stranger things have happened, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, if you work outside of HVAC, I don't know if we can help you, but
this is very, very specific, helpful information.
Yeah, that'll be fun to build and try those out. So, and then we'll if you have them made by then, we could do the rocket stoves in the same video.
Yeah, well, ideally, I'm trying to make them next
week.
Well,
I won't be here next week, so if you want me to help and film, it'll have to be separate.
Okay.
But we can also break this into 2 separate videos. I mean, the rocket stove is a concept. I mean, that's kind of building it.
Yeah, that's separate.
We know the concept. We could do
Dakota.
We could do 2 separate videos on this. I mean, we can do the video to go specifically with this series here, specifically for the Dakota fire hole
cooking suite.
Yeah, exactly, and do the review on that and how it worked, and then we can always do an extra bonus video later on once we get these built, where we'll include the video of the welding them together, actually building it, and then testing them out as well and seeing how well they worked.
Yeah.
So that'll be pretty cool.
That's all I got.
All right, so we'll plan on doing that within. Again, we're gonna look at the weather and see how it goes, but sometime within the next week or so, we'll look at doing the week or so from when this actually gets posted. Probably closer to 2 weeks from now. We'll do the YouTube video, and then we'll do a follow-up podcast. Now that'll be the next thing. Is what are we gonna go to after we finish this series?
I have not given that. I haven't gotten any thoughts on that. However, if I take a moment,
open your handy dandy list.
Open my handy dandy Suburban Outdoorsman list of things we need to do. You know what one looks interesting to me is build a ghillie suit.
That would be kind of cool.
I don't know if we're there yet.
We need to do that before hunting season.
Yeah. Stupid deer around here are driving me nuts.
No, I've been seeing a crap ton of deer and turkey. I've been seeing a lot of turkey as well.
The deer around here, they're walking down my driveway.
Just taunting you?
Yeah, and I'll drive behind them, and they're just kind of sauntering, and then it'll turn and just walk into the woods. I'm like,
you can't do anything about it now, so.
Making a ghillie suit would be cool. We also talked about solar oven. That could be part of the outdoor cooking suite, but that might be something we can do later.
Yeah.
But we've got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So
we'll figure out something between now and
then. I'll post on Facebook maybe a couple options, and maybe people can vote on it.
Vote on what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of time. We'll figure out for sure what our next episode will be. We'll plan out the next couple episodes. One I would like to do, so we mentioned it a little bit in the video, the last video we did following up from our everyday carry bags. Mm-hmm. I love knives.
Yeah.
I've always loved them more just based on their look and feel. I've never gotten into really the specifics of the different kinds of steel that are used and what's, it's not just the quality of the steel, it's also what you're going to be using the knife for. You're going to use it more for cutting?
Yeah.
What kind of materials you're cutting? I would be interested in doing a podcast that kind of breaks into that a little bit. Because I've known other people. I believe you're in a similar boat to where you don't necessarily know the details behind that as much, where you could, this knife is this kind of steel or this.
Personally,
kind
I know I like Damascus steel because I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
And I know it's a durable steel, and I even know how it's made as far as the forging of it.
Yeah.
But
see,
that's limited. I don't know beyond that.
I like Valerian steel because it kills White Walkers. Other than that, I don't know. I don't really know too much about the other kinds of steel. But I'd love to do an episode on that. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, of what kind of metals are good. That way, when you're, like I said, and again, I know I mentioned it in the YouTube video, but I know when I buy a fixed blade knife, for example, I generally only buy full tang.
Yeah, I agree.
That part I know, but I know there's a lot more to it. So I think that'd be a cool one to do at some time in the future as well. As a show
choosing the appropriate knife and
understanding the different types of steel, knowing what you're looking for, and I believe also there's a difference in the steel based on whether it's a full smooth edge or if it's a serrated edge, that kind of stuff. So that'd be cool to learn a little bit more about.
Maybe not the next one, but we'll throw it on the list.
Yeah, we'll get in there somewhere. So all right, appreciate everybody listening. And again, as always, we do ask if you enjoyed the show, please go give us a rating and leave a comment on iTunes or wherever it is that you get your podcast from.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to get on iHeartRadio now.
Yeah, I'm going to
I totally forgot about that before when we were...
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that one either. So, who knows? By the time you're listening to this, you may be listening to it on iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then
welcome to the show.
We heart you. Was that a little lame?
That was a little heavy-handed.
Okay. All right. Well, leave us a comment.
Yeah.
Leave us a rating, feedback. Appreciate that.
Join us on Facebook.
Yep.
And we're on Instagram also. I know I handle a lot of the Facebook because I don't know Instagram very well.
Yep. And I had a little bit of a break on the Instagram stuff there while we were camping and doing all that, but we'll be getting some posts on there as well. And then we've got our website where we've got links to some of these podcasts as well, and put a blog post up with a little bit more information to go along with the podcast. So check us out on all of it. But again, please, the comments, feedback, ratings, things like that definitely help us out. Not just in the rankings of where we are, so other people can find us, but also really love to get the feedback from you on what your thoughts are.
Yeah, we'd like to hear what you think about the show.
And not just about the topic we're discussing in each individual episode, but just the show in general. What your thoughts are of our sound quality, or our conversational styles, or
what you think we look like in person.
I would love to see some feedback on that. I would love to get some people providing descriptions, because I very rarely, like I've done a lot of work where I work with people over the phone a lot before I ever meet them in person, and very rarely do they ever match up to what I envisioned.
Yeah, expectations are one thing.
Yeah, I get a certain picture based on the voice,
and it's usually disappointing.
It's usually completely opposite, So that'd be some feedback, but and then also don't forget YouTube as well with some of the videos we'll be sharing. Make sure you go like and subscribe on there as well. So all the links to all that stuff will be in the comments or in the description of the podcast, and we appreciate all the support. But we will be back next week, and we will share some of our reviews on building this Dakota Fire stove.
I'm looking forward to it.
We'll see you then.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode. If you'd like to show us support, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast, as well as leave a comment. Also, you can swing over to our website at suburbanoutdoorsman.com, as well as all of our social media accounts. They all have exclusive content, as well as additional information on your hosts, Sean and Kevin, and our individual journeys that led us here.